This might be
This is Deborah VanDerhei.
This is Deborah VanDerhei. Hello, Robert Sarkis. Good to meet you.
Pleasure,
Procurement manager for Biomax. One of our procurement technicians.
In the lobby, because I was racing up to the call.
And so I'm actually going to be bringing them in for Elise Goldberg's cervical preparation presentation.
good.
I'm just going to sit in the back to hear that, since it's kind of
relevant.
Yeah.
In a big way, actually.
Good.
So.
Where are you located?
Yeah, so we're based in Southern California, Long Beach area. Yeah. And unfortunately, what we've been discovering is that pretty much all of the Planned Parenthood affiliates in California are already working with a tissue procurement organization. So we're having to kind of cast our gaze a little further afield around the country to see who would be good. Basically, what we're looking for is affiliates that are, going reasonably far into the second trimester. Up to 20 weeks is good.
Right.
and not giving to Johnson.
Yeah, not giving to Johnson.
Okay.
Not giving to Johnson, and reasonably high volume. And so actually Dr. Westhoff had mentioned last night, she said, you're the lady who has like all the numbers at your fingertips of, kind of who's doing what and how much they're doing. Because if it's going to be worth it for us to, send somebody, fly a tech out from California to wherever the site is once a week, we want to know that it's somewhere that, at least like 4 or more, specimens in our range that we're looking at. 4 or higher, I think, is what would make it worth it for us, yeah.
And
That's
at
a
what
goal.
gestational age? 4 or 5?
Really anywhere from 16 weeks and above.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any Planned Parenthood accounts right now?
We're talking with 2 different affiliates right now, and we're doing a couple of site visits in the next few weeks.
Good.
So yeah, we're very new. We've only been around for about a year at this point. We do a lot of adipose tissue collection. Actually, that's another stem cell source that people use a lot. So.
Great. And do you have any accounts with any independent providers yet?
Not yet. The issue with the independents, originally it looked like FPA in California was going to be a really good option, but apparently they don't want anything to do with tissue procurement in general. So they start digging pretty early too. So that's another that's kind of an issue. Yeah. And then and then as far as independents in like other states, it's something that we've talked about, and I'm a little hesitant to go too far down there just because there's so many issues with like people closing down and like stuff like that. We don't want to start a relationship that is not going to be sustainable. If it's a clinic that ends up closing down and the next year, it's just not. That's not helpful. Exactly. If we're going, so that's why.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah, I can understand that. Well, but there are some that will likely not close down. So
Right.
if you have any questions about them. I'm fairly familiar with most of them, so I'm happy to sort of offer my 2 cents.
Oh no, that'd be great.
Yeah, is there someone in mind that you're thinking of specifically, or?
Well, there are some in the Northeast called the Women's Group. Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Philadelphia.
Okay.
I don't think they're going anywhere, and their state regulations are not such that would be a problem.
Right.
Are you exhibiting at the National Abortion Federation conference?
Yeah, we'll be there again in
In
April.
Good. Yeah, and then you will then meet those providers.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to get a sense of whether or not.
Yeah, NAF was kind of a grab bag last year. That's where we met Deborah last year. Yeah, we were there last year. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, she was telling me about somebody that was there. I didn't realize it was you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, off the top of your head, as far as Planned Parenthood affiliates are there, who would you think of that's in that range that we're looking at and has the volume?
So you want 16 and over?
16 and over, yeah.
So I'm from Seattle, and that affiliate in the Great Northwest in the Seattle area, they have one of their health centers provides ABs to 18 weeks, and they're not using DIG. So that's...
And Seattle is probably high volume, right? Because it's... No, it's not.
But 4 specimens a week, like right there.
Yeah.
And that is because that area has a couple of providers that are very high volume there.
Right.
But just across the Cascade Mountain Range is the affiliate called GWINNY, Greater Washington and Northern Idaho. And so they are primarily in Spokane.
They're not the ones in Seattle. Seattle's something different?
It's a different affiliate. We actually have 4 affiliates represented in the state of Washington, but they would likely have 4 more specimens, though Spokane is not an easy flight.
Yeah.
You're going to
Certainly
Seattle
easier.
and take a shuttle to
Probably easier than like Trenton, New Jersey, though, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an affiliate
Yeah,
that
and they're
has-
not working with like University of Washington or anything like that.
If Gwynny is, I don't know the answer to that. That's a good
Yeah.
question. And then we have affiliates in Texas.
Yeah, we were just talking to Dr. Fine last night and
Good.
earlier today because my understanding was that Gulf Coast has been doing this for a very long time, actually. And so and you're getting a higher volume and everything. Yeah, that sounds like it might be a real. And also, Texas is actually, believe it or not, is one of the major hubs of regenerative medicine, activity and customer base. Yeah, it's really California. Excuse me, I don't need to. Yeah.
At least they're going up one.
No, California, Texas, North Carolina, Research Triangle area, and then Wisconsin. Those are probably the 4 biggest hubs of regenerative medicine type research around the country. What would be great for us would really be a competitive advantage for us if we could be sourcing from clinical sites that are in each of those areas, because then we're providing to researchers.
So Texas, North Carolina.
Wisconsin, and it's interesting. Yeah, but I mean, believe it or not, Wisconsin, literally after California, Wisconsin is the place for stem cells. That's where all of the major.
Out of the University of Wisconsin.
Madison, yeah, Madison is a big one.
Do you know Dr. David Estes, Long Ponytail, Miami
Never met him,
area? He's here.
Okay.
And he's the medical director of one of the affiliates in South Florida. And he's family planning fellowship trained like Dr. Nicotola.
Okay.
So that he'd be a good person to talk to. Very progressive.
Yeah.
He's got sports coach.
Yeah, I saw him.
I feel like we saw him. Right. Yeah.
And let's stay in contact about who you talked to and who you approached. And
Definitely. Do you have a card that we can take? And
yeah.
There's his, and then this is my card. I'm one of the techs.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
So then, when you go to a site, so then, like, do you consent the woman, or do you just process the tissue, or?
I can do the consenting, just like a floater, and we do whatever's needed. And then I do also do the processing and like just like a little small section of the path lab, just kind of out of the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty much there just to do whatever to help.
And are you on site every day that they do procedures, or?
On procedure days, yeah.
Yeah, it would
we
be
work it
procedure
out
days.
like see when it would be best and beneficial for both parties.
Yeah.
And then on the procedure day, definitely that.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
What
some
if you
affiliates
do
too.
procedures
Sorry.
over a couple of days? And then are you there a couple of days? No.
Well, I mean, the most important day is going to be the actual surgery day, because that's when we'll have the material. And I guess consenting, there might end up being an issue with states where there's like a waiting, like a day waiting period or multi-visit requirement, something like that. Because we were talking to some providers in Arizona about that recently, and that is something that I don't know. I keep on thinking like it might make things easier, because if there's already going to be a whole day devoted to consenting, then then we just do it all in one fell swoop. But apparently that might be an issue as well. So I don't know. That's just one thing that.
Yeah, and that might be state dependent. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Depending on what an affiliate wants to do, some places like to have their own people doing all the consenting work, and so we're only collecting. But we're happy to work with whatever. Whatever
Well,
is gonna.
I've witnessed some other organizations in the clinic. So the woman has been consented, they've done patient education, they've consented, they've determined she's going to go through with the procedure. She's had her ultrasound, blood work, and then she's waiting in sort of a waiting area just before she sees the physician, and that's when the procurement agency captured her and talked to her about donating her tissue and signed the consent. So it was just literally moments sort of filling up.
Yeah.
Sort of nice anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But that was
There's-
in a state that didn't have a 24-hour waiting period, so
Yeah.
I don't know how they managed
Yeah, it's going to have to be, you know, I think part of it is just being very attentive to the practice environment that you're working with, and just, yeah. It's a very unique area, definitely.
Yeah. So what other types of medical procedures are you collecting?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of adipose tissue right now, actually, which is like from lipo. Yeah. So we actually just got the contract for a major study using that. They're doing what is it, with the telomeres and the they're doing they're doing something with regenerating the telomeres in aged stem cell populations, which is really interesting. But yeah, adipose tissue is great because there's a lot available. We're based in Southern California, so we have a relationship with a couple different cosmetic surgery facilities, and it's not very complicated. And surprisingly, you get a very good. We'll take one more, just in case. And you get a surprisingly good yield of the mesenchymal stem cells that come out of the adipose tissue, and apparently it's like 500 times more in that as opposed to bone marrow, which is the other source a lot of people use. But fetal liver is like 5,000 times as much. So it's and that's where a lot of I think the most exciting research action is going on right now. There's stuff actually in FDA clinical trials for spinal cord injury and HIV stuff and all kinds of.
So is it the liver only that you're
Oh no, it's all kinds of stuff. And definitely, liver is probably easily the most, like, the highest in demand right now, because that's used for anything with hematopoiesis, blood cell, that whole group. And it's used in a lot of immunology stuff. It's used for some of the humanized mouse modeling that is done, which is really cool, but that's a whole nother subject. And then neural tissue and neural progenitors is another big one that's very difficult, because that's where specimen quality and like the intact specimen is a big concern, because the brain is really, really fragile. So.
Yeah. Do you, can I ask you about remuneration?
Yeah,
so,
compensation,
what's your policy and what have you been?
We would, I mean, however they want to work it is fine with us. Typically, most places are doing per specimen, because it just makes most sense, because that's how they work and that's how we work as well. That's actually, I'm supposed to have a discussion with one of the affiliates possibly later this weekend about that.
Yeah.
But
one of the things that we advise is our affiliates is to really consider that carefully.
Yeah.
And that
because it has to be very discreet.
If remuneration can be taken off the table and all, that would be
great.
Can we just provide this as sort of a mission-based piece?
Right.
I mean, if they'll do it for free, I'm happy to do it. It's just, I mean, it is kind of, I know it's a lot to ask to have somebody else coming in, using your space, and potentially impacting patient revenue, and so it's,
But so then the twist then there is, how do we sell it not only to the clinic, but then of course to the staff whose day you are interrupting?
Right.
And maybe you're lucky enough and you're working with a staff who's like incredibly interested in it, and just wants to be hanging out with you, and they think this is all fantastic. And then there may be other staffs where it's just like, this is the last thing they need.
I know, right? One more thing.
Right. So then it would be really important in your introduction and your presentation, whatever that ends up looking like, is just to sort of explain the value of just doing this for research.
Exactly.
And how that's very important. We're already a mission-driven organization, and this is just one more thing that we're doing, and we recognize these things, and so the more sensitive you get to that, I think the better you're going to do that.
Yeah.
At least with our affiliates, we're nonprofit, we're mission-based.
Right.
That might be a different situation with independents, though. I have been talking to the executive director of the National Abortion Federation. We're trying to figure this out as an industry about how we're going to manage remuneration. Because the headlines would be disaster.
Oh, absolutely.
It has to be very discreet, absolutely. Because and this is the funny thing too. When I go to like stem cell meetings and regenerative medicine conferences, they have whole sessions on how do we talk about in public what we do, and how do we make public understand about the research? It's not just Frankenstein. It's not just like whatever. And it was so. Yeah, and it was and most of the most of them are we're all nerd scientists, like don't actually really have our act together in that way, don't really know what to say. And it's been so interesting going to NAF or to Cellular Family and to, well, especially it was at NAF, and then Susan, my boss, has told me more about some of the other stuff, but just the whole issue of stigma and how do we talk about this? It's a lot of the same kind of conversations and a lot of the same concerns. Yeah. Which makes sense, because part of what we see is that you have these two groups where the family planning community kind of has the supply, so to speak, and the research demand is there, but just there's not enough communication going back and forth. So right now the supply is not meeting the demand. And a lot of that is, again, because of this stigma that so it's a delicate area, it's a touchy area, it's very, very important. So we've never let that stop us before.
Facilitate those conversations. Who leads those sessions at those conferences?
It's just, I mean, same as any meeting here. It's just they have a couple of faculty speakers and a facility. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's nowhere near as extensive as like a values clarification or anything, because these are, everybody is, that might be a little more, certainly it's not, I don't think that people in the research community are dealing with stigma on the same level that you might be dealing with in the family planning community. It's not as intense.
Well, yeah, I mean, you certainly have legislation aimed at you as well, so.
Yeah.
So can I ask you a question? Were you at last year's NAF presentation when there was a panel on fetal tissue?
Yes, and that was very helpful. Yeah.
So we're going to replicate that at our national conference in a month.
We'll be exhibiting there. So.
And oh, good. And we're having one of the attorneys from my team, and then Roger Evans from litigation and law, and then a COO of an affiliate in the Midwest that has had some issues, and we're going to sort of present some facts on our panel and then really open it up to the group to ask them what their concerns are.
For disposal or for donation. Specifically? So there's an affiliate in the Midwest that's done.
We understand that there's a big difference.
Yeah.
But, we only have a short time frame and we got to cover it all.
Of course.
Yeah.
But do you remember who spoke at last year's NAF meeting? We were trying to identify the woman and
for donation?
Yeah.
That was the Cedar River Clinics, because they are they are actually working with STEM Express, so so we can't work with them.
So was it Connie or was it Beverly or?
It was one of those names. I can't. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. They and I
And then who else was there? And they were talking about donation.
They were talking about donation, and I guess they've been doing it for a very, very long time.
They have.
And kind of have it down. They were. I think it was Connie. I think her name was Connie, because and I remember. And she said, well, we might be interested in partnering with multiple organizations. And she said, but you have to be able to keep up with us. She said, we have the supply. She said, we've got it all figured out. She said, anything you can't use, we give to University of Washington. They've been doing this for decades and decades, so they really know their stuff. I don't know if do independent providers like that go to the Planned Parenthood meeting ever, or no? Okay.
But they'll be at NAF meeting, and they'll have an exhibit 15 times.
I know. Yeah.
So Connie just took over from Beverly.
Okay.
Beverly was the founder.
Oh, and you're in Washington, so you know all these people anyway. Yeah. And the University of Washington has been for, I think, probably like 40 years now. They've been a major source for the academic community, and for a while they were the only source. And now just they're so tapped out that's why people are looking elsewhere. And so there's an affiliate in the Midwest, you said, that has experience with tissue donation, or?
She's probably on the panel because of disposal.
Oh, it's disposal, it's not for donation.
Yeah.
Okay.
But do you remember who else was on that panel?
There was a woman from Michigan who ran clinics in Michigan that were having all kinds of disposal issues.
An independent clinic or a?
Yeah, it was independent. It was not.
Renee Chillian?
I don't remember the name.
Planning?
I think that was it. It was a name. It was kind of a generic name like that.
Okay. And then, was there an attorney or somebody that was leading the
There
session?
was, yeah, I don't know if the attorney, I forget, there was an attorney, I don't know if she gave a presentation or led it, but yeah, there was an attorney.
You don't know who it was,
That was, and then, and whatever she talked about was not really relevant to all the other stuff, so, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But, yeah, that would be, yeah, I'm glad to know that that's gonna be, that will be at the meeting in next month, yeah. If we, I don't, do you know their policy for exhibitors going to meetings? Do you know what it is
No,
there? Or?
this will be my first one. I just started in July. This will be my first
Okay.
meeting, and so.
I have to email, we need to, I'll tell Brianna to, yeah, I'll tell Brianna to email the organizer too and just find out if we can get a, you don't have like a preliminary schedule or anything
No.
on you, do you know?
Because there isn't one yet.
Oh, there isn't one yet. Yeah.
I mean, they told us what day. It's Wednesday, but I don't know what.
Okay, that's the day the exhibit opens. So okay, yeah, because that would be really helpful, I think, to really get a perspective on how, because what I understand from Deborah is there's not a set PPFA national policy right now, or how does it all
We're
come
absent
together?
a policy, and that's relatively intentional. And the policy that we do have suggests that you just really think about what you're doing, vet your procurement service, and if there's any way you can do it mission-based, that's probably better. But if you do decide that you want to engage in remuneration, you just really need to think that through and think New York Times headline when you're creating your policy.
Yeah.
So, and that memo is over a decade old. So one of the things that we're going to do is use this meeting that I'm telling you about this panel in a couple weeks to sort of inform a new memo. I just want to understand.
Yeah, we'll be brainstorming for how to.
Deb gets requests, and I get requests about whether or not people should be working with. Well, the requests have been coming. We hear STEM Express.
STEM Express is the other one, yeah.
And should we work with them? Because Shasta Pacific, now Northern California, they work with them, and they're sort of vocal about it. Yeah,
STEM Express has the whole north, yeah. I've heard they've gotten mixed reviews from some other affiliates. My understanding of them is that there's sometimes there's a lot of talk, but they don't always follow through.
Yeah. I don't know.
And they're very ambitious. They're very hooked into kind of the larger biotech world in a real industry sort of way. And so for that reason, I would question how attentive they are just to the practice environment, like I said. That's just something to think about.
Okay.
I won't say any more about that because I don't want to.
And I don't know. So, and we're not making recommendations. So, but Deb is a big proponent. So.
Yeah. I wish, unfortunately, Novogenics is in really tight with the Los Angeles affiliate. So, if that were, I was hoping to meet Dr. Russo later this meeting because they're in Orange County, which is probably actually geographically the closest to us. And I guess they're already working with like an actual biotech lab in Irvine or something. But it would seem, I would guess that there's probably more room if that's just like one project they're partnered with. There's probably more room there for another group to come in and also do collections. So I would really like to have a chance to find out what that relationship is and what they like about it and how we can do better.
Well, I'll tell her to come over here. She's
Definitely.
got long dark hair with bangs.
Yeah, that would be excellent.
Height, weight,
Yeah.
etc.
Okay.
But yeah, she would be a good person to talk to.
Yeah.
She's presenting this afternoon too, so I know she's here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, and I think
Deb told
I'm
me
really
to
glad to
stop
know
by.
about that in March because that'll, I think, a lot of good will come out of that.
We're taking notes, and so I'll let you know sort of the themes of what people are particularly around donation, what their concerns are. And,
Yeah.
how it would play out in different clinics. So, but don't hesitate to reach out to me. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, really good to meet you. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Soon. Oh, uh-oh.